Well, hello everyone. My name is Ronnie Rios. I'm really, really excited to be your host for today's webinar, Introduction to Integration. Hopefully today we're going to kind of view several different ways how the FileMaker platform allows you to take your custom apps and integrate with existing systems and apps and services out there, and kind of realize some of the possibilities of what can be done once you integrate your apps with other services. But before we get started, I do have some brief housekeeping notes. For the best experience, we strongly recommend that you participate in this web seminar with at least a broadband connection. If you have any problems or require online assistance at any time, please contact LogMeIn Technical Support at 888-259-8414. Again, that number is 888-259-8414. During today's presentation, you will have the opportunity to type in questions. So let's briefly talk about how you can submit your questions. You can go to the control panel, click on the question section, type in your question there, and click on the send button. Now, we'll cover as many questions as time allows at the end of our presentation, but remember, you don't have to wait till the end to submit your question. So with that, let's get started. Now, if you've been following some of our webinars, I'd like to let you know that this webinar is the third installment in a series of webinars. Now, in the first webinar, we talked about how to use the FileMaker platform to very quickly or easily create custom business apps that align with your particular business needs. In our share webinar, we talked about how to take your FileMaker custom apps and explored the ways of how to share or deploy your apps using FileMaker Server or FileMaker Cloud, so that team members can access your apps from pretty much any device and wherever work is happening. Now, today, we are going to be focusing on what to do once your apps are there and focusing on how to integrate these shared apps with other apps and services. Now, for those of you who are new to the FileMaker platform, we are a workplace innovation platform. Now, what I mean by that? Well, we help problem solvers uniquely address workplace challenges, and even as these challenges change, and we make those complex technologies accessible to everyone. Now, Workplace Innovation Platform includes everything you might need to design and create your custom apps for business. It also has all the tools that you might need to share your apps so that your teams can be connected anywhere they're doing their work and from pretty much any device that they're carrying. And it also has the tools to allow you to integrate your apps with software services, enterprise systems, or even IoT devices to allow you so that you can thrive in your own industry. Now, the best workplace innovation platforms makes breakthrough technology accessible to everybody, so you can realize really the promise of advanced technologies. Now, in the FileMaker platform, these attributes kind of play out this way. The FileMaker Pro Advanced is what you use to create your custom apps, and this is also how you run your apps on desktop computers like Mac and Windows. To securely share with your team, you can use FileMaker Server or FileMaker Cloud. And to run those solutions on iPhones or iPads, you can use the free FileMaker Go app available from the App Store. Then to access the solutions via web browser, you can use the FileMaker WebDirect technology that's available as part of FileMaker Server and FileMaker Cloud. Now, the story doesn't end there. As part of the integration part of the Workplace Innovation Platform, the FileMaker platform has a ton of integration options for you, everything from REST APIs, PHP, ODBC, even plugins to allow you to make sure that your apps do not become silos and they can integrate with the world around them. Like I said, a Workplace Innovation Platform has everything you need to create, share, and integrate your apps. Now, today we're going to focus on the integrate portion of that. Now, in today's world, we want to make sure that we have access to all types of information and services that are out there, and our apps cannot realize their potential if they're a complete silo. So the possibilities of integrating our apps with multiple of services and data that's out there can really take us to the next level. In the FileMaker platform, there are several ways to integrate your custom apps. So let's talk about briefly some of the different integration points that are available in the platform. You can use web viewers, which allows you to display web pages inside of your custom apps. Think about web viewers as small web browsers that you can embed inside of your app. You can also import and export in the FileMaker platform using a multitude of different formats out there. And even in formats that are completely custom, you can set up different delimiters for data that you're bringing into your app. We also have the ability to connect to external SQL data sources, and we can do so with a feature in FileMaker called ESS, where we can have a live connection, a bidirectional connection to a SQL data source without any knowledge or any understanding of what SQL entails. We also have a built-in script step called insert from URL, which allows us to exchange data with web services using this particular script step. And it harnesses the power of the curl library, which is very powerful and allows us to pretty much connect to any web services that is out there available. You can also run system-level scripts, so you can interact with a local desktop or system. So accessing and running functions that are particular to that local machine. FileMaker also supports a URL protocol unique to it, in the FMP URL protocol, which allows you to trigger specific FileMaker actions from, say, web browser or anywhere where you can call a URL. There's also built-in APIs that can make it easy for you to talk directly to FileMaker from other apps. There's built-in REST APIs, PHP, and even XML APIs in the platform. And there's even also a plugin architecture that allows you to create your own extensions to the platform using our C++ SDK, or use connectors that are already created by other FileMaker partners that are out there. So again, there's a lot of options for us to integrate our apps with other things. And usually when I get asked the question, well, can FileMaker integrate with blank? The answer is usually yes. Usually is, first, what are the integration points that are available from the other system? And most likely there is at least one way that we could integrate FileMaker with any one of these different techniques. Now, there's no time to go. We won't have enough time here to go through all of these in detail, but we do kind of want to go through a demo and show some of these, and so you can start realizing and get an idea of what's possible in the area of integration in FileMaker. So we're going to continue a little bit with our story that we started in previous webinars. We have a local, small but growing commercial landscaping company, and so far we've built a little app that's helping us manage our customers and the work orders, contracts and things like that. It's the photos. In our second webinar, we've learned how to take that and share or deploy it to make it accessible to everybody in our team, regardless of where they are, regardless of what device they're using. And now that we've been using it, we kind of want to add and take it to the next level and add some things here that would allow us to make things a lot easier for us. The promise of integration, one of the big benefits of integration is to reduce the amount of hops, if you will, that I have to do from one app to another. So I've got a multitude of apps and services out there, and I would like to bring a lot of those things, a lot of those features that are currently out and completely separate, and bring those into my app so I don't have to jump around. One of those things that's very common for my team is navigation, directions. Right? They use some sort of navigation, some map app to find their way around to customers when they're out in the field. So I'd love to bring in something inside of our app, maybe an interactive map that would allow them to give them directions. They are using data that we already have. I'd also like to reduce that redundancy, the jumping around from app to app with other systems that we have. We've just recently implemented a review system or a comment system for our customers so they can help review us. And right now, we're using two different systems. I'd like to integrate and bring that information into our app so that we have a clearer view of what's going on. And maybe we take that and start analyzing that and use some cutting edge technology like machine learning to help us increase our customer satisfaction. All right, so we've got very lofty goals. So let's get started. So this is the app that we've created so far. And like I said, we can manage your contracts. We've got work orders over here. And again, I wanted to, over here in the location tab, I want to put some sort of map that would help our people, our team, get to their customer. So I'm going to go here into layout mode really quickly. And here from the toolbar, I'm going to choose the web viewer. And like I said, the web viewer is kind of like a little web browser that I can embed in my app. So I'm just going to draw out here a nice little rectangle. And we've pre-populated several websites or web services here for you. And all it's really doing is building that web address over here. And we can pre-populate that with existing data that we have on our database. So here, for example, we can add the address. We've got the city. This is all data that we have already inside for our customers. We've got here the state. We've got zip code here somewhere. There we go. That's enough. Maybe I'll anchor this here to the side so it looks nice. And let's have a look. So now when I go over here, this web viewer automatically refreshes and displays its website, and it's fully interactive. I can get directions if I want to over here, so everybody who's out in the field can find their way around to the customer. And because it's fully interactive, if I and being driven by data that's inside, if I move to a different customer record, this automatically refreshes here for us. So as you can see, it's very easy. Built-in access to a lot of these commonly used websites and web services out there, being driven by data that we already have there. So very quickly, very easily, we've already kind of added here some logistical guidance. We could, by the way, expand that and put routes in there and a lot of other things. But I think kind of drives the idea that we can start building and interacting and integrating with all these services using web viewers, which is a great way of starting out. So now again, we've got this system that we've been using for accepting customer reviews. And again, I want to bring that information into our app. So now this system out there, one of the ways that we can bring in that data that's over there is obviously exporting that and then bringing it over here and doing an import. So let's just say that I got an export from that other system, and we've exported here in Excel format just for just for the sake of showing it off over here, just really easily. Really nothing fancy. You can see just 4 columns over here. First row here has a name. I got email, date, and the comment. Now, one easy way, like I said, to bring this in is just to do a simple import. So let me show you how I can do that. I can go over here to File, choose Import Records, choose File over here, and choose the file. Now, because we're probably going to be doing this, we're going to get more reviews as time goes on. Down here, I can turn on this option to set this up as a recurring import, because we're going to do this every once in a while, probably on a daily basis. So by doing this, I'm going to tell FileMaker Pro Advanced to help me with that operation. Now, I'm telling over here that that first row did not have had column headings we can use for the field names. It's going to create a layout for me to visualize that data. I'm just going to call it reviews for now. And it's going to create a script to automate the process of importing the data. I'm just going to call this import reviews, and also create a button associated with that script for us. We'll just click here, okay. And there we go. It already imported that Excel spreadsheet over here, and this is the data that we have from that export from that other system. Now let's pretend this is yesterday's data for a second, and maybe we got a brand new export today. Now I'll put it in the same place. It's got the same name, and because we have that script there, it knows about that file, and all I'd have to do is click on the Import Reviews button, and we get updated information. Now, Again, this works perfectly fine, and this is really nice. It gets us to where we need. And for a lot of situations, this is probably enough, and works really, really well. It is working. It's really nice. I'm thinking we could probably take this and make this a little bit easier on everybody. Because one of the things I don't like about this is that the data might become stale very quickly, right? So I'm thinking about maybe we could have some sort of live connection to this to make sure that we have this information as fresh as possible. So it so happens that this service that we're using, or this system that we're using for reviews, has the ability to expose that data directly to a connection to it. And it does so by something that's very common in the world of databases, which is through ODBC. ODBC is a standard for the interoperation of communication between databases. And this is what that database looks like. Again, this is a direct view connecting to that other system. In a lot of organizations, there are many systems out there that are running on SQL data sources. And this would be, this look exactly the same if I were connecting to other systems that have some SQL data source. So I'm just connecting to it. This is what it looks like. It is a completely separate system, but I'd like to bring that in, since we have the ability to connect directly to it, and bring that in directly to our custom app. So the machine where we have FileMaker Server has already been configured to have on the operating system level a connection to that ODBC source through what's called a DSN. There's an ODBC Manager that's on the operating system level. Now we haven't set up any connection between FileMaker and that. So I'd like to show you really quickly how we can do that. So that, again, that machine already has the ODBC set up on the machine on the operating system level, but I want to connect it to our app. We want to make sure that our app can talk live with that SQL data source. So to do that, I'm going to go here into the section of Manage External Data Sources. And FileMaker can talk with different data sources, can talk with its local, right, FileMaker data sources, but it can also talk to ODBC data sources. So I'm going to create a brand new one. And I'm going to choose ODBC as the type. And when I click on the specify button for the DSN, it will display all the DSNs or all the connections that have been set up on that machine where FileMaker Server or FileMaker Cloud is set up. So I've got one over here. I'll use the credentials that were provided to me by the system. Very secure. And that's it. And now we've got a live connection that's set up from FileMaker Server or FileMaker Cloud, and I can share that among all of the users, regardless of which device we're using. I can do some really interesting things. So first off, let me show you what it would look like. Let me just add this over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to configure this. I'm going to go here into Manage a Database. And here in the relationships graph, right, this representation of all the tables that we have, I'm going to add a brand new table that has the source for it. I'm going to choose the brand new source that we've just configured, which is the ODBC. It's a completely SQL data source that's over there somewhere around the world. And this is the table that I want to bring into my app. It's the reviews table. Now, this looks like a regular FileMaker table, but if we hover over here, we can see that the source for it is completely external to my app. This is a SQL data source. Now, once that's done, I can do some really interesting things already. We've got a live connection to that external SQL data source. So let me show you what that means really. Because we have that connection there, and FileMaker takes care of all the SQL stuff for us, it automatically creates a layout here where it exposes that information. The records that you've seen here, the data you're seeing here, is exactly the same that is in that SQL server over there. It's a live connection. There's no SQL, there's no queries for me to write. This is a live connection between these two. So much so that if I made a change over here, something like that, I'll just refresh over here. There you go. Behind the scenes, FileMaker did all the SQL command programming stuff to make sure that these things kept in sync. And I can treat this like any other FileMaker table here in my custom app. Now, this is really wonderful, but I want to bring this into the fold, and I want to associate this with our customers. Now, just move this a little bit here. Now, our customers have provided their emails when they're doing this review, which is right here. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to associate these reviews, again, that live in some other server, some other system, and I want to display them over here for the correct customer. So I'm going to go back over here into a managed database, and I'm going to take the reviews over here, which we know has an email field. And we have an email field in customers, where I'm just going to create a relationship between the two. I'm simply going to drag and drop from email customers to email here reviews. And with that, we've created a relationship, a link between these two sources, FileMaker source and a SQL data source over there, that allows me to have that two-way connection between the two things. So back here into layout mode, I'm going to come over here, show all the fields. And I've got access over here to the reviews table. And I don't want to, right now I'm going to show the comments. Maybe I'll remove the labels. I don't think we need a label. There we go. And I'm just going to drag and drop this field over here. So maybe I'll make it bigger. Yeah, nice and big so it's easy for us to read. All right, that looks good. All right. So because we're viewing this through that relationship, now when I go over here to the Reviews tab, I can view the reviews that are associated with the customer that I'm currently viewing. I can see it automatically updates for us. No SQL statements, no programming required for me to get this up and running. This is a live view. So as new reviews are coming in, I'll be able to see those here for each one of our customers. All right, so we've actually reduced the amount of, say, app hopping that we've had to do and the redundancy of data by integrating that data source into our app so we can have a better view of what's going on in the organization, what's happening with our customers, and make it much more efficient, the process of keeping track of everything that's going on. Again, now what I want to do is I want to take those reviews that we have there and use some cutting-edge technology out there to help us increase our customer satisfaction. I want to connect with some of the services that are out there using machine learning so that we can help figure out what's going on and maybe stay ahead of customer issues. So right now, all we're getting is those texts here from those reviews, but I want to kind of rate that. So in my reviews table, I actually already have a field here that's called sentiment. And I've created that field so I can store here kind of a rating, or so we can do some what's called sentiment analysis. I'm just going to place it over here as so that we can have it somewhere close. Maybe we'll anchor it here to the bottom. We'll save it there. All right, so we've got that field over here. Now, I want to connect to a web service that provides this machine learning analysis. To do that, we're going to have to use a script, create a script that automates this process. Now, for the interest of time, I've kind of created this already. I'm just going to copy and paste this in here. But I promise you we'll go over this. It's only 3 steps here. And most of it actually was copied directly from instructions from the web service that we're going to be using today. And I'll show you here really quickly as well. And most of the stuff is just really copied from the provider, this web service. But really, there's just 3 commands over here. Today, I'm going to be using really IBM Cloud. I'm going to use one of their commands here, analyze text. And most of the commands you can see here, the parameters are there. Everything I'm going to show you basically was copied and paste from that page. The first step here in this really 3-step script is to get the information that we're going to be sending to this service. They require that it be packaged as a JSON information. FileMaker's got built-in functions to allow it to do that. I'm just packaging it up the way that it requires. That's all that step is all about. The second step is really the one that does all the work. This is sends the information and retrieves the response back. So let's go over it really quickly, what's in here. I want to store the response that I'm getting back from IBM here in a variable so we can kind of look at it later. The URL that I'm going to be connecting to, this is literally copy and paste from their website. And then here's some additional options for the curl library. Again, most of it I just copied and pasted from their reference documents and put it in there. And then finally, got one last step over here, which is really going to set that field, going to set the results to that field. And I've got some calculations here that's going to kind of just format this a little bit so that it looks a little bit nicer. Quite frankly, that's all it does there. So that's these 3 steps. That's it. That's all this script does. And we can run it anytime we want now. I'll just go ahead over here and run it really quick. It's going to take the text of that review, send it to that machine learning, and then return back here. And it seems that this particular review seems to be positive, or at least Watson thinks so. Seems about right. Now the great thing is I can run this for pretty much any of our customers now, for any of the customer reviews. So it's already up and running here. I can choose any one of these. I can run the script anytime I want. Again, I'm going to take that, put it over there. Oops, looks like this customer was not that happy. While this works really well, I think it might be a better user interface, better user experience if we made something a little bit nicer. Maybe we put a button over here. So go back to layout mode, choose the button. Maybe we'll draw a button over here. Maybe I'll just call it analyze or something like that. Make it really simple. And then here for the actions, we are going to run the script that we just created. Here it is. Let's click OK. That up here so that it's nice there. All right, we'll save the changes. And now I can just click on this button and it will run that script and analyze that review for us. Isn't that wonderful? It's truly amazing the things that we can do nowadays. And it makes it very, very easy, very powerful to take our apps to the next level and integrate it with some of those amazing services that are out there. Now, I don't want you to think that this is the only thing that we can do. Again, we don't have a lot of time, but before this webinar, I took some time to kind of take this and make some modifications to this. Just so I wanted to show you what we could do if we had just a little bit more time to take this and maybe add some things over here. So let me just get these things here out of the way. All right. So again, with a little bit more time, I'm going to show you what I did. The exact same information that we had here before. I did some changes here, some additions. Again, this would just take me just a little bit more. I added here a portal that would allow me to view multiple reviews per customer. All right. I'm assuming customers may send multiple reviews over time. Right. I also added here an average of that sentiment. Kind of that rate, so that way give me a better overview of what we think the customer might think. There's some customization over the color here, so all of these. I also had to add this little icon over here that would help me kind of alert me of customers that were below some sort of threshold that I set up over here, so that would help me here kind of keep track of customer satisfaction, make sure that on top of customer issues that might arise. So this already now is starting to do something really amazing. This is setting things up here automatically and alerting me so I am ahead of certain things with a lot of great automation and some wonderful technology. And all of this is available from pretty much any device I use. So even on the iPad, completely live here, I can scroll through these and it looks exactly the same. I'm leveraging the FileMaker platform so I can develop one and deploy into all these different platforms all at the same time. Pretty wonderful, right? All right, so we saw how we can leverage some really amazing cutting-edge technology to increase our customer satisfaction using things like machine learning and scripts to automate the process and make sure that we're keeping ahead of customer issues out there, and we don't have to wait until the last minute where things kind of roll up to get really, really out of hand. And we build a really nice app and hopefully increase the amazing experience that both our customers and our employees receive. All right, we've done a lot here. We talked about it a lot, and I promised I was gonna answer questions here. So before we go into sharing some resources, let's take a couple of minutes here to answer questions that you might have. I see many of you have already submitted questions in here, so if you haven't done so, now is a great time to do that. Hi, Vincent. Vincent's asking if there's a cost for the services for IBM sentiment analysis. And yes, again, I chose IBM because I'm familiar with it. They have really great service. There is a cost after a certain amount of calls that you do, but you can actually start with a free account. The account I was using here today is actually free. You can do that as a developer. You can get it started and try those out for free. So it's really great. Let's see. I've got a question over here. Jeffrey's asking about that live view of the ODBC. How often does it refresh? And is it something that can be scheduled? Jeffrey, yeah, the connection is fairly live, and FileMaker kind of refreshes the data depending on certain events that might happen. If it detects that there's a change, if you're doing a search, if you change modes and things like that, it will force it to do, or it kind of triggers a refresh to that. You can also, through scripts, force a refresh of that data as well. So if there are things that in your own custom app that you want to make sure that people are looking at live data, then you can absolutely force that to happen through some automation as well. So, Doug is asking so in FileMaker, searches generally are not case sensitive, but in some SQL databases, searches is case sensitive. So if I'm doing a search using the ESS connection, how does that handle it? Well, FileMaker actually converts that when you're doing that search, since again, we didn't see any SQL statements, right? FileMaker was doing all that stuff behind the scenes. And when it does send that SQL statement for the search, it's actually taking care of the case sensitivity. So it will make it that case insensitive as far as the search goes. You can actually look at those SQL commands as it's coming in. Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, there's tools so you can view those queries as they come in and can view those. There's really interesting to watch those statements as they come in. But yeah, FileMaker just kind of takes care of all those things there for you. Let's see. Jennifer is asking how to set up the DNS, those DNSs that we're talking about. Jennifer, it depends on the operating system. We do have some instructions or kind of some guidance on our website on how to do that. Depending if you're on a Mac, depending if you're on the Windows, and honestly, which version, the tools might be different. So it might be best just to look up for the operating system, the help of your operating system, and see how it's set up there. But normally there's an ODBC Manager type tool that allows you to add those DSN connections. Again, this is on an operating system level type thing, kind of a system level. But once it's there, once you set that up on the machine where FileMaker server is running, then you can do what we did here today and access that link in your apps. And you saw it, you only have to do that once. That connection gets shared among all of your users. So you don't have to set up the ODBC connection for, say, every computer or every iPad or iPhone that's out there. The connection from the server gets shared among all the users, which is really wonderful. So I was asking, how would we be able to connect to Salesforce? Would he use ESS to do that? Salesforce has many integration options. There are several ways of doing that. There is actually a way to do ESS with them, but they've got a really robust REST API, and you can use something similar to what we did here in the last step when we connected to IBM. So you can use their REST API, use the insert from URL script step to make calls to their API. There are other integration points with Salesforce, but those are probably the ones that you might want to look into. Stephen is asking if there's a list of services and sample scripts that we can look, that you can kind of look into that. Stephen, if there's, I'll share some links here later, but if we absolutely have a very vibrant community of developers and partners that have done so many wonderful samples out there that you can leverage. If you go to community.filemaker.com, you'd find an enormous amount of sample files, scripts, and you can ask other people who have already done this before that can absolutely help you with that. See, Utold is asking what's the best way to connect to UPS and FedEx. I don't know about the best way, but there are many ways of doing it. Both of those have REST APIs. You can use that. Depending on what you're using, you could just use a web viewer as well. It all depends on exactly what you're doing. There are different ways of doing that. There's actually plugins in this FileMaker plugins that allow you to connect to those too. So it really depends on what you're doing and what type of integration you want to do. All right, I think I got time for maybe one or two. We got several coming in over here. See, I've got. So Tim is asking if he's having some trouble integrating his FileMaker solution with some APIs. Where would I recommend him to go for help? I highly recommend that you tap into our really vibrant community. I would start with going community.filemaker.com. That's the place I go to ask questions. FileMaker has been around for quite some time, and the community has been in several different developer communities, and the FileMaker community is probably the most welcoming and helping community I've ever been a part of. It's very likely that what you're going through, somebody's already had that issue or has been gone through those, and probably has asked the question, it's probably already been answered. So my first step would be go to community.filemaker.com, search for what's happening, and you just might find the answer right there. And if you don't, post a question. I'm sure that somebody out there will be willing to give you a hand and help you out with it. All right. Getting out most of the questions. There were some questions there about licensing, so I kind of want to address those. If you got any questions about licensing, the best way to address those is just give us a call. We've got representatives that can help you, walk you through choosing what the best options for the licensing are for your particular project. We've got several different licensing options available. There's discounts for 5 or more licenses. There's licenses for non-for-profit and educational and government and things like that. So give us a call. We'll have somebody walk you through and make sure you choose the right licenses for your particular project. For those who want to learn more, the FileMaker Developer Conference is coming up on August 5th through the 8th. This year is going to be in Orlando, Florida at the Gaylord Palms Resort. DEF CON is the place to go in to network with other people to learn what's going on in the FileMaker platform and also kind of a glimpse of what's coming up next. This year, I promise, is going to be really, really amazing. I highly recommend attending if you can. Some additional resources for you. To view pre-recorded versions of this and other webinars, please go to our website. Go to filemaker.com/learning. We've got a ton of other webinars there and events that you can attend, even live events that might be close to you. There's also the FileMaker Data API guide, and there's videos also on how to get you started using the FileMaker Data API as well. Highly recommend these to get you started integrating FileMaker with other systems and solutions out there. Once again, community.filemaker.com is the place to go to ask questions. And and interact with other people out there in the community. All right, with that, this concludes our FileMaker webinar for today. Once again, you can watch pre-recorded versions of this and other webinars by going to www.filemaker.com/learning. Thank you so much for your time and have a great rest of the day.